Okay, so we have Josh, DJ
Yes.
OREO, in the house today. We're so excited. We thank you for coming on last minute.
It's all good. It's all good. There was an opportunity there, and I was like, if there's a chance for me to run my mouth, let me
just
let me
have
show
that.
up.
Let me just have that. Okay, so right before we started talking, I asked you an important question that maybe other people are wondering, but the name DJ OREO.
Yes.
Where did it come from? And how did we go from just the D and the J to the DJAY on social media?
All right. So the name came from, so I went to broadcasting school. I'm going to show my age a little bit. But we're in the early 2000s, and I was just real quiet young kid. I just felt like I had a passion. I wanted to be on the radio and DJ. So I got entered. I got an opportunity to be at some different clubs and venues at the time. And I was just this quiet kid that did not have a DJ name. I was just going in there with my stuff, and I was just Josh.
Was that like out of your comfort zone, being in like the crazy club scene?
In the beginning, yes, because
You said you're quiet kids. So I'm like,
I was.
That was kind of like intimidating.
I was, but I was like, this is where I want to be. So
Yeah.
it was a lot at one time. So a guy who actually ended up being my boss at a radio station, they would do remotes at this club that I ended up being at. And, he was super great guy, funny guy, but he was just weeks of like trying to give me a name. And I just was like, no, I just want to play music. I just want to play music. And one night we're in the office and everybody's getting paid. And he's just sitting on the couch, and he was like, DJ OREO. And I was like, that is terrible. I was like, I don't want to be named after a food. And when you really think about it, there's not really a super cool DJ name. And probably about a week later, anything else I told him no, he never brought up again. And I'm listening to the radio spot that week for the club, and there it is. And I'm like, oh. And the weeks after, like, he just hammered it every time he was on the radio. And it was funny because we would have little tiffs, and we actually became really good friends just in the industry and family. And it just kind of stuck. So when I finally, after going to all these different radio stations, waiting to get a chance or somebody to hire me, I finally got brought on at K-Hits, on that local radio station, and you have to start at the bottom. So there was this, meeting of, is OREO going to be what you go with? And I had an opportunity. I was like, this is a perfect rebranding chance. And I missed that opportunity as well.
Oh, no.
Because I was like, well, let's just stick with it. I'd been doing nightlife for about 2 or 3 years. It had almost become more so at that time. That was my name over my real name.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's just roll with that. And then it just stuck. And then as opportunities grew with venues and radio and things like that, it just became my name. As far as the Instagram thing, so for a long time, I was the only DJ OREO, or I thought that I was. And if you were Googled me, it would pop up. Yeah. Chance the Rapper, huge artist, great music. Probably about 4 years ago when he was touring, he had a tour DJ. Unfortunately, he was DJ OREO.
Oh, no. Wow.
So,
that's a crazy story.
So there was a lot of back and forths of
really?
Yeah, where there was different social medias I was on, and then it was like my Facebook, I never changed it, so I got to keep that one. And one day I just did something was going with my Instagram and changed it real brief because I was thinking I was doing something that was important. And I think it was like a day or two later that guy grabbed it.
Dang it.
So or somebody in his group did. So I just sat there and I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I was like, well, I'll just respell it this way.
Yeah.
And that's where we're stuck with the Instagram. I didn't want any like slashes or numbers or symbols because I was like, that's confusing. Yeah. So I was like, if they can spell it out, then,
No, that's cool. That's a cool story. It's the Instagram handle situation is a real it's a real deal. I deal with that with small businesses all the time. If they want to change a name or if they're just, getting started, and if that specific name is taken on Instagram, you can't have it. So then you have to come up with a creative way to name your Instagram account. So interesting.
So that's where we stuck.
And for a DJ,
that.
you have to have DJ in there somehow.
You have to.
Like
so
there has to be You have to have that part.
It has to be. So I could have had, the regular spelling with some numbers or something like that. And I just was like, well, let's try to spell it out this way.
You got creative with it. I like it. So we also talked about, before we got started, which I didn't know this, but you have a podcast.
I do.
Okay, cool. Tell us about that.
Okay, so it's called the Oklahoma Hot Seat. We've been doing it for almost 2 years.
Awesome.
It actually, and Mike will understand. A friend of mine, I had no idea. I was in a music store to buy some gear. He was in a music store to get all the podcast stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was like, am I getting all the right things? So we just ran into each other that day. And I said, hey, let's look at this, do this, or this. And it started with, hey, man, would you want to just produce the show? Because he wasn't familiar with the programs and things at the time. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then the more we got into it, the more he was like, hey, would you want to get in the seat and interview people? And I was like, yeah. So we've started, our deal is we love to interview local people.
Yeah.
So we want to interview people that are like small businesses, people that are nonprofits, people that are doing things that just, I'll be honest, we don't have a big following, but it's always cool to be able to share what your passion is or what you have going on. And that's an outlet for us. So we've had we've had even past American Idol contestants. We've had local people with food trucks, venues, all kinds of stuff. So we like to try to feature them on the show. So we, up until he's, having kids and things and family and life.
That happens.
So we kind of took a break, but we were doing shows every week, and then we'd post them online and stuff. So
you said something about just giving local people kind of a platform to be able to talk. I think that's awesome. That's something I'm also passionate about. And with this podcast, like I was telling you, we do podcast production services. So we produce other people's podcasts, which is fun. And then we do, I shouldn't even say we, Mike does it all.
Your team.
The LA Productions team had Mike over there. But then I started like thinking, if I'm selling the service, I should probably have my own podcast of some sort. So we have this little LA Productions podcast that's very casual, very simple. But just like you, I love giving people just the opportunity to come talk about what they do, because I think there's such a unique piece of empowerment in that. Like when they get to sit behind a microphone and talk about their story or their why, they always leave and they're like, damn, I got this. You know what I mean? And even if it doesn't have a whole bunch of followers, it's just it puts purpose behind a lot of what they're doing. So I love meeting other people like that who are passionate about it. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, and it's good to have just an outlet for people just to kind of release and just give out their information, because, a lot of people, and like you're saying, with purpose, a lot of people have visions and things like that. And there's just people that just haven't even heard about it. We've met a lot of cool people and people we have reached out to that I've had on the show outside of before we saw what they were doing, and some of the stuff that we've even gotten involved in with them. And some of their...
you never know when a door is going to open and just opportunity. That's awesome. Okay, so I thought of something before you got here. And I wasn't going to tell you this beforehand because I wanted to totally catch you off guard with this question.
Okay.
Because I just talked to one of my photographers yesterday, and we get all the time. We get weird requests, or it's like, I want to do a whole series on things you never say to a photographer, things you never say like during your photography session, or things like weird things you don't ask your photographer. Like one thing, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this one out here. You never say to a photographer during a photography session, oh, you can edit that out. You can edit that out. That's just like, that's a no-no. So I want to know from a DJ standpoint, what comes to mind when, and you can think like big and broad, like as big as just like big events or little things, or what would you say is something that like you never say to a DJ?
Probably two of the bigger things. I would say, because I do a lot of like events and weddings and things like that. So I'm very much if it's about, that bride and groom's day or that family's event, I try to be very hands-on with just like, what do you want played? What do you not? What genres do you like? If you don't like country, we're not going to play country. Yeah. If you don't want whatever, we'll take care of that. There's always the family member or the friend that tries to come up to tell you if somebody has said, no heavy metal or no Cardi B. And there's always that family member that comes up and they're like, can you play?
Yeah, they want.
I wasn't going to say it.
Right off the bat. No, you can totally say it.
Right out the gate. And I have to explain to them. And I've had literally friends want to just like be so aggressive that they're like, well, and I'm just like, hey, this is their event. Yeah. This is their time. They've requested, they just don't want that. Mm-hmm. And they get disappointed. Or the other one where if you play this song, I promise everybody's going to dance. And I look at that song and I go, and I try my best to be polite and let them know. And then it transcends as time goes on. Yeah. If you don't play this song, we're going to leave.
That's awesome.
And at that point, if it doesn't fit or it's just not going to work, I take that chance at that one person that, might leave if their song is played. So they try to give you ultimatums if you don't do what they want.
That's really funny.
But you have to really find the flow of things. But that is definitely probably my two major.
Well, I like those answers. I probably could have answered that for you. So fun fact, and one of the reasons why I was really excited that you had reached out and said you wanted to come co-host with me, the reason that I know Steven, and I'm not going to go down this whole path because we only have 13 more minutes, but the reason I know Steven, my co-host, I know, we like crank it out here. The reason that I know Steven, my co-host, is that my parents threw me a surprise 30th birthday now almost 2 years ago, which is crazy. But we won't talk about that. But Steven was the DJ at my birthday party. Okay. And so I love music. I love to dance. I love a fun, event and atmosphere. And he did a great job. But I was without a doubt, I'm trying to see if he's watching right now. I don't think he is, but I know he'll watch this at some point and he'll be like, yep, I was without a doubt the worst client that night ever. So because and he was so funny because he broke all the DJ rules, like stopping a song in the middle of a song to play another song. And I know, but it was a very small backyard little situation, and it's just so funny because looking back, I was like, dang, I really took advantage of the fact that it was my birthday, and I called all the shots. But I feel for you because as a photographer, I've been at weddings before where you have the classic like DJ buzzkill people that just get up there in your space that are like, you're gonna play the song.
Oh, they are. Or the part that's really tough is when if it's out of order, it's not what they've requested. Mm-hmm. They will then go, well, I'll just go talk to them about it. And I'm like, man, it's their day. Yeah, like I know you can go in your car, plug in your phone, and hear that song. Yeah. But they will go and do that. But if you're the party person, like for your birthday, hey, we're scratching it in, we're shutting it off. We're putting the light in. I mean, it's your party.
Yeah, it was my party, so I did get to claim that. But we still laugh about it because, and bless his heart, I mean, he took all of it. And I know he went home to his wife that night and was like, let me tell you about this situation. But it was the beginning of a really cool friendship. So anyways, my hat's off to DJs for sure because I know, and you deal with a lot of drunk people. A lot. That happens. But I have another question for you that came about just as I was thinking about this. I want to know what the tactic that you use for kind of reading the crowd on okay, what are we going to play next? Like when you play the slow song versus the YMCA versus the new pop song.
It's a lot of reading the room. Yep. So trade secret of mine, but what I like to do is I will especially at an event, obviously I ask a lot of questions beforehand. Mm-hmm. A lot of times is there going to be a bar, people drinking, what's the atmosphere of your family? But I'll typically find a person. I you know the songs people will dance to, but I'll typically try to pinpoint somebody that I will make a challenge to myself. Even if they don't dance, they're going to nod their head or something. And they're like, okay. And if I've got them, everybody else will kind of follow.
That's very cool.
And they'll typically, you know, and I will always seek out normally, like there's one person and I will in my mind figure out that song for them to go.
Oh yeah.
And at that point,
that's awesome.
That's when I know I'm like,
you got it.
I'm like, okay, but in any party, depending on where you're at, I mean, you can, you know, fast paced. I'll watch when people, you know, we've done, you know, line dances or high energy or whatever, and people are kind of gassed out. Let's move the room around a little bit, grab a drink, play something slow. Let's catch our breath a little bit. Then when you see people kind of talking or whatever, let's play another hit and get them going. You definitely have to manage the crowd and people.
It's huge. And I don't think people realize that. I really gained a huge respect for DJs really getting into the wedding industry with photography, because also photographer and DJ have to be, we gotta be friends. Like it's me and you all night, like staying in sync and all of that. And so, you know, it's so much more. What you do is so much more than just playing music. So I have a lot of respect.
Communication is key. Thank you. Communication is key. Anytime I'm at an event, you always want to introduce yourself on both sides of the fence and go, hey, when do we have this next? Or let's move these people to get this. Because when you have someone invested and it's their day, whether it's a birthday party, wedding, retirement party, whatever, you want to make it the best that they can get, because these are memories. And they will always look back on that. And you want to go, man, I had a really great time. Food, pictures, the DJ. You want that.
And a DJ can make or break the event.
We can.
I will be the first to say, because I'm typically another fun fact, I'm typically like the first on the dance floor at any type big of event that I'm not working. If I'm working, obviously I'm not, but I'm the girl that's doing this to the DJ. Like, you got it. This is the one. But you know, a DJ that can't read the room, or a DJ that's just not emotionally invested in the event, can really just be buzzkill. So
and you want to, you know, one thing I learned when I was going through school and getting really polished with radio and stuff like that, man, you just never know when somebody's coming to an event, like what's going on with them in their lives, or, you know, maybe they got an argument with their significant other, or maybe they don't really want to be there. But once you get them dancing or having fun or taking pictures, it's our job to just go, man, for those few hours I was there, I was able to escape and have a good time. And then whatever issues we have personally, we clock that out.
Leave it at the door.
Then, then whenever you go home, you get on the phone and you're like, I'll make spaghetti, okay? And then then you go home and figure it out. To have an occupation, a job that brings joy is great.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I have one more question for you that I just thought about for DJ etiquette. For all of the brides, if we have any brides watching, or if they do end up watching, do you prefer to be fed at weddings? Because like you have all your equipment.
Everybody. So here's kind of my policy on that. For me, everybody normally offers, which is great. I great food there, but I'm typically like, hey, let's put it in a to-go box, or I'll sneak off to the back or something, especially if they're like, hey, we're about to toss this or something. And I just don't, you know, I appreciate it, or I'll hold on to a plate for later. You know, my job there is to play music, make announcements, make it fun.
No food.
It is, you didn't hire to watch me eat.
So, because I'm always the photographer that'll like bring the DJ food. I'm like, here, you need to eat, because we eat. I mean, as photographers, which I don't do wedding photography really anymore, my team does it all. But, you know, we've been there since 2 in the afternoon.
Same.
And we're typically there until, you know, and we've been running all over the place. So we have it in our contracts that when everybody else eats, photographers stop and eat. So, and a lot of times the brides will give us a plate, which is very thoughtful. Brides, very thoughtful to feed your people. But I was just curious on the DJ end if that was something that like you guys think through. So
yeah, they always give us a plate. I'll stick it under the table or put it in a box and save it for later. Because we're always, you know, what I've learned is like we're always moving. So if I were to stop, somebody's gonna go, hey, let's get that first dance out of the way, or could you do this or whatever? And I'm like, oh, all.
Yeah.
It's not
professional.
It's not a good look. So we'll wait. My stomach
or
can
heaven
wait.
forbid, like the food spill on your equipment. And then
There's that, or I don't drink, but I've had family members at these. Oh, let me get. I'm good, and they're like, finally, I'm like, hey, I don't drink.
I don't drink.
Oh, okay.
I get it. Yeah.
Well, hey, I'll still act like we're
yeah,
and all that. But once they understand,
yeah, gotcha. So okay, we've got 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Tell us the future. What does the future look like for you? What are your hopes and dreams?
Well, hopes and dreams. I would say just expanding. I do have a couple of guys that we do go out and do these events. I do a lot myself. But we're getting into more of, I do have digital photo booths. There's a 360 one I brought for your party. We're renting it out. My hopes and dreams with stuff becoming more digital, I would like to be more of a digital outlet for people to do things. Not that the old way is bad.
Yeah.
But as times are progressing, I want to be that company or that business that kind of progresses with the times to offer new things. One thing that's terrible is normally where we're located, we get things last.
Yeah.
All the technology, all the fashion, all the
Oklahoma,
stuff.
we're last and slow.
We're last. So I am trying to really prep to have the newer stuff. That's I've got buddies that have big companies on the East Coast and other places, and they're doing crazy things. I'd like to get us to that level where we're there a little sooner.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff out there when you research it, it's just not here yet or people don't know.
Yeah.
And that would be the key because, man, some of these parties and weddings are starting to evolve to where they feel like a nightclub. Or huge.
They're crazy.
Huge things and productions. So you want to make that important. And I think a lot of times in my industry, we've gotten stuck in, well, I know I'm going to bring out this system and I know I'm going to play these songs and I know I'm going to charge you this price. And there's nothing wrong with it, but we've kind of sat there in that pocket where I'm like, wow, there's some new stuff we can introduce.
Yeah.
And also just being accessible to things. People want that. And I think the next few years can really grow this industry where we can be a leader locally of just like, wow, I can go to this place and this is new. And even though I went to New Jersey and saw this, I can still get this in Tulsa. Yeah. And I think that would open up a lot of doors for a lot of companies, a lot of people to expand in their own way and be a little bit more current.
Yeah. And hopefully COVID won't come back and then the buzzkill of COVID won't keep eating us all. Especially in the event industry, which sucks.
Oh, man. It definitely took a toll. But, I was definitely prepared to go, well, when we come out of this, being accessible to go, let's get your event going. We'll be ready to do stuff for you, trying new things. Yeah. And that type of thing. And there's so many event centers and places to go and so many things to do that I think that having that knowledge out there will make stuff better. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. All right. So let's end it with how people can find you, contact you, information about you.
Yeah, so we went over IG. Instagram seems to be the new the new business card.
The new thing.
So Instagram.com, obviously your Instagram, DJAYOREO, DJAYOREO. Like I said, we've got digital photo booths. I do cheer mixes.
Yeah, you said that. We didn't get to talk about that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I was a cheerlealer all my life.
So I know all about
the cheer mixes. We used to do cheer mixes on cassette tapes.
Well, we're past that now, but put this sound here. This means
done. Cheer mixes on cassette tapes that you rewind with your finger.
That was like being a little kid listening to the radio and your song would come on. Record,
hurry.
That was me. But yeah, we have that. We've got several different systems, lighting rigs, all of that stuff. But yeah, any kind of project, media-wise, music, we love to take a challenge and try to make that work. Cool. But yeah, Instagram, DJAYOREO. Facebook is spelled like normal, so just DJAYOREO. Yeah. Perfect. And we're not going to do Snapchat. I
get a little touchy with Snapchat. I don't know. I don't quite trust Snapchat.
I
got on Snapchat for a little bit, and within like 2 days, I was like, I don't know about this.
yeah, it's.
I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, it's a little.
And the
it's
whole
a little,
like the picture goes away thing, and like I don't know.
It's a little wild.
So
But yeah, those are outlets,
Very cool.
and I try to post stuff on my stories and things frequently, so you see my work and can get in touch with me.
Awesome, and we will link all of his stuff on the live. We will post it, and then when we get the podcast all polished and posted on YouTube and all of that, we will also put all of your information on there. So
Awesome.
all right, that's
Thank
it.
you for
That's
having
a
me.
wrap. Thank you. I appreciate it.